I speak with people all over the country in my occupation, and one thing I hear from everywhere is that nobody wants to work. Of course they don't. They are being paid in dollars that are fast becoming useless and see very little hope for the future. One thing that the older generations had going for them for most of their lives was the certainty that if they worked hard and followed a career path, they would have a nice life, be able to afford a house, children, and retirement. However, with the current work environment, depressed labor value, rising housing costs, and constant inflation, people today don't have that certainty. In fact, for a young person to believe that simply working hard will get you an even moderate level of success today is rather naive. I could get into discussing how older generations have faulty assumptions based on the cost of living when they were younger and payment now, but I and many others have already covered that topic extensively. Instead, I would ask why anyone is surprised that nobody wants to work. The money I earn today will be worth less tomorrow. The stock market is flat, while inflation has gone through the roof. This means that the absolute value of the market has fallen because that market is being valued in dollars that are now worth less in absolute terms. Depending on how you measure inflation, we have between 20 and 60% inflation over the past few years, while the market has been flat over the same period. This means the market is actually down 20 to 60%. So if anyone asks, when will the crash happen? You can simply respond that it already has. So both cash and stocks are a bad idea. What else can you put your money into? How about the most common investment for all Americans since World War II? Real estate. Owning your own home was the American dream for most of its existence. However, the disparity between buying power of earnings and the price of homes have made that dream unattainable for many. And that isn't just unattainable in the short term, but unobtainable overall. The recent rate increases have made this all the worse. A mortgage that would cost someone $2,000 at the beginning of 2020 now would cost someone over $3,200. So that explains why high-paid workers are unmotivated. They have no financial security. They no longer believe the excess money they earn will be safe or grow. Low-paid workers are unmotivated because their pay doesn't even cover the basics of survival in many cases, let alone growth and financial security. This is not because of greedy companies taking all the profits, unless you're talking about mega corporations, and you can watch this video if you want to see how mega corporations are actually arms of the government. Companies need to have retained earnings in order to expand inventory, absorb incidentals, and hire new employees, just like employees need additional earnings beyond the basics of survival. Imagine you are a worker earning $60,000 a year before the pandemic. You lose your job during the cuts and barely make it through the dead period with government handouts. You look for a new job only to find that no one wants to pay you what you were making before, and all the job responsibilities are double what a reasonable person would expect. But with no choice, you take the job only to realize the money you are making doesn't go as far. Instead of being able to keep $10,000 or $15,000 after expenses, you are right on the knife's edge. You find yourself using credit cards more and more as unexpected expenses pop up. Eventually, you wonder why you are even trying at all, because you are working your ass off only to fall behind financially rather than save anything up. And the statistics support this story. Consumer debt has risen 20% just in the last year. You may say, but Josh, $60,000 is a lot of money. But that is very contextual around the country, and in many places, that is barely enough to pay for basics. And now, add the fact that housing costs and inflation are up. The company is looking at their P&Ls and realizes their profits, while numerically the same, are only a fraction as powerful as they were before. They aren't enough to actually expand anymore. They look at falling productivity as their workers suffer from burnout and malaise. They start losing workers and freak out because they ran the numbers, and if they raised pay to match inflation, they would be in the red. This is the situation we are in. The workers have no hope, the companies are freaking out, the bosses think everyone below them is lazy, and the investors are seeing nothing but red. None of this is the workers' fault. None of this is the business's fault. This is the government's fault. They are the ones who shut down the economy. They are the ones who created the inflation with bailouts for the workers that they caused to lose their jobs, and huge bailouts for companies who both had to shut down and the ones who kept running. And they are the ones who compounded this problem by manipulating the currency further, using band-aids to try to stop a hemorrhage. The whole economy is frustrated, feeling hopeless, and blaming everyone but the right person for their problems. Our current situation isn't created by lazy workers, angry bosses, or greedy companies. It was created by an authoritarian government. And there is no quick fix. The only thing that can be done is to stop making the problem worse. The government needs to let go and allow the economy to heal naturally. Inflation is economic activity divided by the number of dollars in the market. Every other, quote, cause of inflation is nothing more than an attempt to manipulate active money supply or economic activity. So if you want to fix inflation, let the economy grow to a point where the amount of economic activity chasing existing dollars starts to make sense. We also need to understand people's natural response to the situation isn't laziness. It isn't lazy to be unmotivated to work at a sustenance level. It isn't laziness to be discouraged, upset, or frustrated by the economic reality in which you find yourself. It is laziness to give up and let the government take care of you. So if your employee is still working for you, or your boss is still trying to keep the company profitable, they aren't the lazy ones. They are just your fellow man trying to survive the same economic reality that our government created. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe.